Have you ever wondered, why do some people completely transform their lives, while so many others stay stuck for years, even though they also read books, listen to motivation, and constantly say they want success? There's a reason very few people are willing to say out loud. It's not about talent. It's not about luck either. It's about the silent habits controlling their lives every single day without them even realizing it. Many people think failure comes from one major bad decision, but no. Life usually falls apart in a much quieter way. It begins with procrastinating one more day, choosing comfort instead of discipline, wasting hours on things that don't truly matter, then telling yourself tomorrow you'll finally get serious. And the scariest part is, at first, those small things seem completely harmless, until one day you look back at your life and realize you've been busy for a very long time but never truly moved forward. I've met people with enormous potential. They were intelligent. They had dreams. They even had opportunities others wished for. But in the end, they still lived ordinary lives. Not because they didn't want to change, but because they never conquered themselves. And maybe today many people are trapped in that same cycle. We are living in an era where distraction exists everywhere. People are addicted to comfort, addicted to fast entertainment, addicted to starting but lacking the discipline to follow through. So in this video, I want to share the real reasons why most people never become successful and how the small habits they repeat every day are silently shaping their future. And stay until the end of this video, because there's one reason near the end that, once you truly understand it, you'll never look at your life the same way again. First reason, they wait for motivation before they start. I want to begin with a truth many people don't like hearing. Most people don't fail because they lack goals. They fail because they keep waiting to feel right before they take action. They wait for motivation before starting to exercise. Wait for inspiration before working seriously. Wait for the right moment before changing their lives. But think carefully about this. If success only comes when you feel inspired, then what happens on the days you feel exhausted? The days you feel discouraged? The days life becomes chaotic and nothing motivates you anymore? That's where most people stop. I've met many people who said they wanted to change their lives. They said it with incredible enthusiasm. Tomorrow I'll start. Next month I'll be more serious. This year will definitely be different. But then years passed, and their lives stayed exactly the same. Not because they were stupid, not because they lacked potential, but because they allowed emotion to become the leader of their lives. And emotions are very dangerous leaders. There are mornings when you wake up feeling extremely motivated. You feel like you can change everything. But a few days later, that feeling disappears. That's why so many people start going to the gym and then quit. Start learning a new skill and then stop. Start building a dream, then return to their old life. They depend on inspiration instead of building discipline. You know what's interesting? The most successful people I've ever met rarely work based on emotions. They do what needs to be done even when they don't feel like it. That's the real difference. An average person says, "I'll take action when I feel ready. I'll take action until I become the person who's ready." Those are two completely different ways of living. I remember meeting a salesman years ago. He always said he wanted success more than anyone else. He read books, listened to seminars, watched every motivational program he could find, but his sales barely changed for years. One day, I asked him a very simple question. "Do you do what needs to be done even on the days you don't feel like doing it?" He went silent, because deep down, he knew the answer was no. He only worked hard when he felt inspired. When he got tired, he procrastinated. When he got rejected, he lost motivation. When life became difficult, he stopped. And that's the exact cycle trapping so many people today. They want the results of discipline, but they don't want to experience the discomfort discipline requires. They want success, but they still let emotions determine their daily actions. Look at modern life. People today are trained to chase instant feelings. If a video isn't entertaining enough, after a few seconds, they scroll away. If a task becomes difficult, they quit. If results don't come quickly, they assume they're not meant for it. Everything is teaching people to avoid discomfort. But ironically, everything valuable in life exists on the other side of discomfort. Health requires discipline. Financial freedom requires discipline. Growth requires discipline. A meaningful life also requires discipline. No one builds a strong future by only acting when they feel inspired. There will be days when you won't want to wake up early, won't want to study more, won't want to keep trying. But those are the exact days shaping the person you are becoming. Anyone can take action when emotions are high. But very few people can keep moving forward when nobody is cheering for them, when results still haven't appeared, when life feels heavy. That's when character is truly built. And I believe this is what most people fail to understand. Success is not doing something extraordinary on one inspired day. Success is the ability to keep doing the small, necessary things, even on the days you don't feel like doing anything at all. Ask yourself honestly, how many goals in your life have died simply because you waited for the right feeling before starting? How many opportunities disappeared because you said, "I'll do it later"? If you want to change your life, you must stop asking, "Do I feel motivated today?" and start asking, "Do I have enough discipline to continue today?" Because in the end, the winner is not the person with the strongest motivation. It's the person who keeps walking forward even after motivation disappears. And that leads us to the next reason why most people never become successful. They've become addicted to the comfort modern life provides. Reason 2, they're addicted to comfort. I think one of the most dangerous things happening to modern people today is that they can no longer tolerate discomfort. Everything is becoming too easy. You want entertainment? Just touch the screen. You want to avoid loneliness? Social media is always there. You want to escape life's pressure? Short videos, games, and endless content will temporarily pull you away from reality. The problem is, when a person becomes used to constant comfort, they slowly lose the ability to endure the things necessary for growth. And most people don't even realize this is happening to them. They think they're just taking a short break, just relaxing for a moment, just watching a few more minutes, but then hours disappear. A day disappears. A year disappears too. Life is rarely destroyed by one major decision. It gets eroded by small, easy choices repeated every day. I've met people with enormous potential, but they lived as if they had unlimited time. They always chose the easier option, sleeping in instead of waking up early, entertainment instead of learning, procrastination instead of action, comfort instead of self-growth. And the sad part is, at first, life still seems fine. That's the trap. You procrastinate today, nothing happens immediately. You waste a few hours every day, life keeps going. You live without discipline for a few months, everything still appears normal. But eventually time begins to compound. One day, you look back and realize, you've lived for a very long time but never truly moved forward. That's how comfort silently steals people's futures. I remember years ago, I met a man who always said he wanted to become wealthy. He had many ideas, many plans. But every time things became difficult, he looked for a way back to his comfort zone. When work became stressful, he rested for too long. When he faced rejection, he lost motivation. When results came slowly, he immediately switched to another easier goal. Years later, his life still hadn't changed. Not because he lacked intelligence, but because he was more addicted to comfort than growth. You see, everyone wants success, but very few people want to pay the price of success. Because success usually comes with loneliness, discipline, repetition, failure, long periods of discomfort. And that's exactly what most people are trying to avoid every day. They want a better life but refuse to leave the habits making them weaker. They want change but still want to feel comfortable all the time. That's impossible. You cannot build a stronger version of yourself if you constantly run away from discomfort. A healthy body requires discomfort. A strong mind requires discomfort. A successful life also requires discomfort. That's why successful people are often capable of doing the things others avoid, not because they're more special, but because they understand something very important. Comfort today often creates regret tomorrow, while discomfort today can create freedom for the rest of your life. But modern society is making people forget that. Today, many people live in a constant state of stimulation. Their phones are beside them the moment they wake up. Social media appears every second. Their focus gets shattered minute by minute, and then they ask themselves, why don't I feel motivated anymore? Why can't I focus? Why do I always feel stuck? Because their minds have never truly been trained to endure silence, patience, and long-term effort. Everything has to be fast, easy, immediately rewarding. But life doesn't work that way. The things truly worth having take time to build. A strong career doesn't appear after a few weeks. A disciplined person isn't created after only a few motivated days. A meaningful life is the result of thousands of small choices nobody sees. That's what many people don't have the patience to do. And then they call it bad luck. No. It's the consequence of always choosing what's easy. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you truly did something difficult for a long period of time? Are you controlling your comfort, or is comfort controlling your life? Because if you don't learn how to tolerate short-term discomfort, life will force you to endure long-term regret. And sadly, many people only realize that when it's already too late. But there's something even more dangerous than comfort. It's when people begin allowing emotions to control their entire lives. And that leads us to the next reason why most people never become successful. Reason 3, they surrender to their emotions. I want you to understand something very important. Emotions are not bad. Everyone gets tired sometimes. Everyone has days when they lose motivation. Everyone has felt fear, self-doubt, or the desire to quit. The problem is not whether you experience negative emotions. The problem is this: who is controlling your life, logic, or emotion? Because most people today don't live by decisions. They live by moods. If they feel inspired, they work extremely hard. If they feel happy, they talk about huge goals. But the moment emotions change, all commitment disappears too. That's why so many people live like leaves blown by the wind. One day they're full of determination. The next day they want to quit everything. One week they're extremely disciplined. The following week they return to old habits. Their lives constantly change because their emotions constantly change. And you cannot build a stable future with an unstable mind. I once met a man who always said he wanted to change his life. Every time we met, he was extremely excited. He talked about starting a business, improving his finances, learning new skills, becoming more disciplined. But then all it took was one small thing: a rejection. A day without results, a temporary failure, and instantly he lost motivation. He allowed emotions to determine his self-worth. If things went well, he believed he was talented. If things became difficult, he believed he wasn't capable enough. That's the trap so many people are caught in. They judge their lives based on temporary emotions instead of long-term truth. You must understand this. Emotions are like weather. They constantly change. If you let the weather determine the direction of your life, you will never travel far enough to achieve anything meaningful. There will be days when you feel incredibly confident. There will be days when you doubt yourself. There will be days when you want to conquer the world. And there will also be days when you just want to disappear from all the pressure. That's normal. But successful people understand something most people don't. You do not need to feel good to keep moving forward. You only need to keep walking. That's the difference. Weak people ask, "How do I feel today?" Strong people ask, "What needs to get done today?" Those two mindsets lead to two completely different lives. Today, many people are trapped in emotional cycles. They scroll social media when they feel sad. They shop to escape pressure. They chase short-term dopamine whenever life becomes difficult. They never learn how to face emotions. They only learn how to run from them. But the more you run from discomfort, the more power it gains over you. A person who cannot control their emotions will easily procrastinate, lose focus, become impulsive, quit halfway through, make poor decisions. And the scariest part is, most of them don't even realize emotions are controlling their lives. They think, "I'm just not in the mood." No, you are allowing emotions to become the boss of your life. I remember a time when I met an entrepreneur who had just failed in business. He lost a lot of money. His spirit was completely broken. He told me, "I think everything is over." But what's interesting is, a few years later, that same man rebuilt his life stronger than ever before. What changed? Not circumstances, not luck, but his ability to control his emotions. He began to understand this. Failure is only an event, not his identity. That's a lesson many people never learn. They turn temporary emotions into permanent truth. One bad day makes them think they're failures. One rejection makes them think they're not good enough. A few difficult months make them abandon lifelong dreams. While strong people understand this, emotions are only visitors, not the driver. You must learn how to remain steady even when your mind feels chaotic. Because life will always contain pressure, disappointment, loss, days when nobody understands you. If every time those moments appear you stop moving forward, you will never go far enough to discover the best version of yourself. That's why discipline matters more than emotion. Discipline helps you act even when you don't want to. Helps you continue even before results appear. Helps you keep promises to yourself during the hardest days. And in the end, a strong life is not built from the days you feel inspired. It is built from the days you continue moving forward, even while feeling exhausted inside. Ask yourself honestly, how many decisions in your life were made based on temporary emotions? How many times have you destroyed your own progress because of one day without motivation? If you want success, you must learn how to master your mind. Because if you don't control your emotions will control your future. And that brings us to one of the most dangerous traps of all, procrastination, the thing silently destroying the futures of millions of people every single day. Reason 4, they always procrastinate. I believe there's a thief more dangerous than failure when it comes to stealing people's lives. That thief is procrastination. Because failure at least wakes you up. It forces you to face reality. But procrastination is different. It makes you believe you still have time. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Most people don't destroy their lives through major decisions. They destroy them through familiar phrases like, "I'll start tomorrow. I'll deal with it when things are better. Now isn't the right time." It sounds harmless. But be careful, a lot of dreams have died inside the words later on. I've met people with brilliant ideas. They wanted to write books, build businesses, improve their finances, become better versions of themselves. But year after year they remained stuck, not because they weren't capable, but because they always believed they would start taking things seriously someday in the future. But life does not change through intention. It only changes through action. That's something many people have never truly understood. Do you know the scariest thing about procrastination? It doesn't hurt immediately. If you're lazy for one day, nothing happens right away. If you postpone your goals for another month, life still goes on. And because consequences don't arrive instantly, people begin believing their actions don't matter. But time is always quietly compounding. One day of procrastination seems small, but hundreds of days of procrastination create a life full of regret. I once knew a man who constantly talked about wanting to start his own business. He hated his current job. Every day he complained that he wasn't living up to his true potential. But for years, he never started. Sometimes he said he didn't have enough money. Other times he said he lacked experience. Then he'd say he was waiting for a better time. Eventually, many years passed. No business was ever built. No new life was ever created. Only more regret remained. You see, procrastination disguises itself very intelligently. It doesn't say, "Don't do it." It only says, "You can do it later." And many people have lost their entire lives believing those words. Some people procrastinate taking care of their health until their bodies collapse. Some procrastinate changing themselves until opportunities disappear. Some procrastinate living honestly with their dreams until they no longer have enough time left. The heartbreaking part is, most of them truly believe they still have many years ahead. But nobody truly knows how much time they have left. That's why I've always believed one of the most important human skills is the ability to take action even before feeling completely ready. Because if you keep waiting until you are confident enough, perfect enough, qualified enough, motivated enough, you will wait your entire life. The truth is, nobody feels completely ready when beginning something meaningful. Strong people are not people without fear. They simply decide that action matters more than fear. But most people do the opposite. They allow fear to delay everything. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, fear of starting too late. And to avoid that discomfort, they continue procrastinating. Today, procrastination is even more dangerous because the world is full of distractions. Every time you prepare to focus on something important, your phone vibrates. Social media appears. A new video pops up. People are living in an era where attention is constantly being stolen. And if you don't learn how to control your focus, your life will always be pulled toward things that don't matter. The sad part is that many people stay busy all day yet never move any closer to their goals. They reply to messages, scroll social media, consume endless content. At the end of the day, they feel exhausted. But in reality, they haven't done anything that truly changes their lives. That's the trap of modern procrastination. It makes you feel productive while in reality, you are standing still. You must understand this. Every day you delay what matters, you are teaching yourself a very dangerous habit. You are telling yourself, this isn't truly important. And when you repeat that long enough, you begin losing the ability to trust yourself. You no longer believe you'll keep promises to yourself. That's how confidence gets destroyed. Not in one major moment, but through hundreds of times you say, "I'll do it tomorrow." Ask yourself honestly, what is something in your life you know needs to change but you're still postponing? How much longer are you going to wait? Because life does not reward people who plan to take action. It only rewards those who actually begin. And interestingly, the most successful people are often not the smartest. They are simply the people willing to do hard things before they feel ready. And that brings us to the next reason why most people never become successful. They constantly avoid difficult things. Reason 5, they always avoid difficult things. I once realized something very interesting about life. Easy things usually bring immediate comfort, but eventually create a difficult life. Meanwhile, difficult things in the beginning often create a freer life later on. But most people always choose the opposite. They avoid difficult conversations, avoid difficult work, avoid painful change, avoid failure, rejection, and uncertainty. They want success, but try to build it through the path with the least pressure. That is almost impossible, because all real growth begins with discomfort. I have never met a strong person created by a life that was too easy. A disciplined person must learn to do what they don't want to do. A successful person must learn how to endure loneliness for a period of time. A mature person must learn how to face the truth about themselves. There is no comfortable path, but modern society is making people fear difficulty more than ever before. Today, if something doesn't produce quick results, people easily quit. If a skill takes too long to learn, they lose patience. If a goal requires years to build, they switch to something easier. People have become addicted to speed, short videos, fast results, instant dopamine, overnight success, and then they carry that same mindset into their lives. They want quick wealth, quick transformation, quick success, instant mastery, but life doesn't work that way. A giant tree does not grow overnight. A strong person doesn't either. You must go through failure, repetition, boring days, long periods where nobody recognizes you. That is the price of growth. But many people quit the moment things become difficult. I once met a young man who wanted to build his own business. At first, he was full of passion. He worked day and night, talked about huge goals, believed he would change his life. But then difficulties began appearing. Customers rejected him. Financial pressure increased. Results came slower than expected. And within just a few months, he started doubting himself. What's interesting is, the problem wasn't failure. The problem was that he had never mentally prepared himself for difficulty. He wanted success, but he believed success should feel comfortable. That's the illusion many people carry today. They see other people's results, but not the price those people paid. They see a successful entrepreneur, but not the years of pressure and instability behind it. They see a healthy body, but not the hundreds of disciplined days behind it. They see someone's confidence, but not the countless times that person failed and stood back up. People always want beautiful results, but often run away from the process that creates those results. That's why most people stay trapped. You must understand this. The difficult things are often the things that change your life the most. The difficult conversation you're avoiding may save a relationship. The difficult skill you keep postponing may transform your finances. The difficult decision you fear facing may open the door to an entirely new life. But because it's difficult, most people avoid it. And years later, they ask themselves, why hasn't my life changed? Because you cannot build an extraordinary life through constant, easy choices. I believe one of the greatest signs of maturity is when you stop asking, what's easier? And begin asking, what's better for my future? That's when people truly change. Weak people prioritize present feelings. Strong people prioritize their long-term future. A weak person says, I'm not in the mood. A strong person says, I'll still do what needs to be done. That difference creates two completely different destinies. Today, many people are being deceived by temporary comfort. They believe avoiding difficulty will make them happier. But the truth is, the things you avoid today usually return as greater pain in the future. Avoid health discipline today, your body will pay later. Avoid learning today, your finances will pay later. Avoid change today, your life will become stagnant later. Nobody escapes the price of life. You only get to choose. Pay through discipline today, or pay through regret tomorrow. And I believe most people do not fail because they lack ability. They fail because they keep searching for a painless path towards something meaningful. But no such path exists. Ask yourself honestly, what difficult thing in your life do you know you need to face but continue avoiding? Because sometimes, the door leading to the strongest version of yourself exists behind the very thing you fear most. And that brings us to another reason why most people never become successful. They allow their environment to silently program their lives. Reason 6, they allow their environment to silently program their lives. I once said something many people don't fully pay attention to at first. You rarely rise above the environment you are exposed to every day. That applies to your thinking, your habits, your standards for life, and ultimately your future. But most people don't realize how powerfully their environment is silently shaping their lives. They think, they're just friends. It's just entertainment. It's just where I live. No. Everything you repeatedly expose yourself to is programming your mind. You become what you hear every day, what you see every day, what you tolerate every day. And that's why an environment can elevate a person or slowly drag them down without them realizing it. I've met people with enormous potential, but they lived in environments that constantly made them feel smaller. Every time they tried to change, someone would say, be realistic. Don't dream too big. It's not easy. People like us can't do that. Hear those words long enough, and people begin believing those limits are real. That's how many dreams die. Not because of lack of ability, but because people spend too much time in environments that make them forget who they could become. Look around you. If every day you spend time with people who constantly complain, constantly procrastinate, live without purpose, always blame circumstances, then it becomes very difficult to maintain a strong mindset over time, because people absorb energy and standards from their environment much faster than they realize. I once knew a hardworking young man. At first, he was ambitious. He read self-improvement books, wanted to build a better life. But his group of friends was completely different. They only cared about entertainment, partying, surviving day to day, mocking people who took goals too seriously. At first, he tried to stay focused, but gradually he started changing. He read less, became less disciplined, stopped dreaming as big, until one day, he became exactly the type of person he once never wanted to become. That's the power of environment. It doesn't change you instantly. It changes you little by little until you no longer recognize when you changed. Today, your environment is no longer only the people around you. It also includes the content you watch, the accounts you follow, the music you listen to, the conversations you spend time in, the energy you absorb every day. If all day long you consume drama, negativity, meaningless content, constant distraction, don't be surprised when your mind becomes chaotic and directionless. You cannot build a strong life with a mind constantly poisoned by mediocrity. That's why successful people are extremely careful about their environment. They understand this. If you want to change your life, sometimes you must first change what surrounds you, not because they think they are better than others, but because they know one truth. It is very difficult to fly high when something is pulling you down every single day. Do you know the saddest part? Many people are living in environments slowly destroying their belief in themselves. Every day they hear, "Don't try too hard, just live a normal life. What's the point of dreaming big? Life is just like that." Hear those words long enough and people stop trying. They no longer believe they can change, and then they call it maturity. No, that is surrender disguised as maturity. I believe one of the most important decisions in life is choosing who and what you allow to influence your mind every single day. Because your future is not only determined by willpower, it is also determined by the environment reinforcing who you are becoming every day. If your environment constantly pulls you toward comfort, you will have to fight extremely hard to maintain discipline. If nobody around you is growing, you will easily begin believing stagnation is normal. That's why many people fail, not because they are weak, but because they are trying to build a strong life inside an environment constantly making them weaker. Ask yourself honestly, are the people around you helping you grow or slowly making you smaller? Is the content you consume every day feeding your future or destroying your ability to focus and think deeply? Because in the end, you do not only become what you think, you also become what you repeatedly expose yourself to every single day. And that leads us to the next reason why most people never become successful. They depend on short-term motivation instead of building long-term consistency. Reason 7. They depend on motivation instead of consistency. I think one of the biggest misunderstandings modern people carry today is believing that motivation will change their lives. They keep waiting for a powerful feeling to appear, a video that ignites their emotions, an inspiring quote, a moment that makes them feel, "From today on, I'll be different." And during the first few days, they truly feel determined. They wake up early, work hard, write goals down, make plans for the future. But then the emotions begin fading, life becomes normal again. Pressure appears, fatigue appears, and gradually they return to their old selves. That is the cycle many people stay trapped in for their entire lives. They constantly restart, constantly find new motivation, constantly promise themselves that this time will be different. But they never build the one thing that matters most: consistency. You must understand this. Motivation is beautiful, but it does not last. Nobody can maintain intense excitement every single day. There will be days when you feel extremely confident, and there will also be days when you don't want to do anything at all. That's normal. But successful people do not build their lives on temporary emotions. They build them on actions repeated long enough. That is what truly creates results. I once met a man working in sales. At first, he was always the most enthusiastic person at seminars. He took tons of notes, set huge goals, talked about the future with incredible excitement. But a few months later, he almost disappeared. Then a year later, I saw him again at another event. Same energy, same excitement, same words. This time, I'll be serious. But his life had barely changed. Why? Because he was addicted to the feeling of starting more than the commitment of finishing. That's the problem many people have today. They love the feeling of being motivated, but they do not love the repetitive process that creates results. They want the excitement of day one, but they cannot endure the boredom of day 100. Meanwhile, life truly changes during the most ordinary days. Not the days you feel amazing, but the days you still do the right thing, even when nothing feels special. That is where consistency is born. You know what's interesting? A person who trains at an average level but stays consistent for years is often stronger than someone who trains intensely for a few weeks and quits. A person who reads a few pages every day for years often grows more than someone who only studies when inspired. A person who consistently saves and invests usually builds better finances than someone constantly chasing quick wealth. Life responds to repetition, not short bursts of intensity. But most people do not have the patience for that. They want immediate results. If progress feels slow, they assume they are failing. That's why so many people quit too early. They do not understand this. Major life changes often happen silently for a very long time before results finally become visible. A tree does not grow tall after only a few days of watering. A strong person doesn't either. You must repeat the right actions long enough even before seeing immediate results. That is the hardest part, because the human mind always wants quick rewards. Today, social media makes this even worse. People constantly see fast success, fast money, fast results, and they begin believing everything should happen instantly for them too. But much of what you see is only the visible tip of the iceberg. You see someone's success today, but you don't see thousands of hours of work, countless failures, years of quiet persistence. Successful people often do very ordinary things, but they do them long enough to create extraordinary results. That is the power of consistency. I believe this. One of the most mature moments in life is when you stop asking, how can I succeed quickly? And start asking, how long can I consistently do the right thing? Because in the end, your future is not determined by the intensity of a few days. It is determined by what you repeat for years. Ask yourself honestly, are you building your life through short bursts of inspiration or through small actions repeated every day? Do you keep restarting without ever staying consistent long enough? Because many people fail not because they lack potential. They fail because they stop too soon right before life begins changing. And that brings us to a very important truth. Discipline is not the prison of your life. It is the thing that creates long-term freedom. Reason 8. They don't understand that discipline creates freedom. Most people hear the word discipline and immediately feel heaviness. They think about force, loss of freedom, pressure, days of doing things they dislike. That's why so many people avoid discipline. They want to live more comfortably, want to do only what they enjoy, want to feel free. But the irony is, lack of discipline is exactly what traps many people for life. I've seen people unable to control their finances. They spend emotionally, buy unnecessary things, live for temporary feelings. At first, it feels comfortable, but a few years later, they become trapped in financial pressure. They have no freedom, no choices, no ability to live the life they truly want. You see, short-term lack of discipline often creates long-term suffering. That applies to every area of life. Lack of discipline in health, your body will pay for it. Lack of discipline in learning, your future will pay for it. Lack of discipline in emotions, your relationships will pay for it. Many people want freedom without understanding this. Real freedom always comes with a price. A healthy body is freedom. Freedom from illness. Freedom from exhaustion. But to gain that freedom, you must stay disciplined with nutrition and exercise. Strong finances are also freedom. Freedom to choose where you live. Freedom to choose how you work. But to gain that freedom, you must stay disciplined with money for years. A strong mind is freedom too. Freedom from emotional control. Freedom from procrastination and inner chaos. But to achieve that, you must train yourself every day. That is what most people fail to understand. They only see the discomfort of discipline, but they fail to see the pain that lack of discipline will create in the future. I once met a man who constantly said he wanted a better life, but his daily life reflected the opposite. He stayed up late constantly, wasted hours on meaningless things, did not manage his finances, did not take care of his health. Then he complained that life was too difficult. No, life was simply reflecting the choices he repeated every day. That is a truth many people do not want to face. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is how you show that your future matters. You know what's interesting? Disciplined people are usually not stronger than you in the beginning. They simply understand one thing: what you do today will shape your life tomorrow. So they are willing to endure short-term difficulty in exchange for long-term freedom, while many others choose comfort today then suffer consequences for years. Today, society is selling people a very dangerous idea. The idea that you should always feel comfortable. If you're tired, stop immediately. If you're bored, quit. If things become too difficult, find an easier path. But if you live that way long enough, you lose the ability to control yourself. And a person who cannot control themselves will struggle to build a strong life. I believe one of the greatest signs of maturity is when you begin doing the right thing even when nobody forces you to. You wake up early even when nobody checks on you. You keep promises to yourself even when nobody knows. You continue trying even before results appear. That is real discipline, not to impress others, but to build the person you want to become. Remember this: every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build confidence. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken yourself. That's why discipline doesn't only change your actions, it changes how you see yourself. You begin believing, no matter how difficult things become, I can keep going. That is tremendous power. And sadly, most people never build that power. They live based on emotions for too long, based on convenience for too long, based on short-term motivation for too long, until life slowly moves beyond their control. Ask yourself honestly, is there an area of your life losing freedom simply because of lack of discipline? Your health? Your finances? Your focus? Or your future itself? Because in the end, discipline does not take away your freedom. It removes the things destroying your freedom. And once you understand that, you begin seeing life completely differently. But there is one final thing most people never realize. Their lives today are actually reflections of the standards they accept every single day. Reason 9. Their lives reflect the standards they accept. I want to tell you a very direct truth. Your life will rarely rise higher than what you believe you deserve. That applies to money, relationships, health, work, and even the way you treat yourself. But most people never view the problem this way. They look at their current results and think, maybe I'm just unlucky. Maybe I'm not good enough. Life is simply like this. No. Very often, a person's life is simply reflecting the standards they silently accepted long ago. You do not change your life by merely wanting more. You change it when you begin refusing to live below your true potential. That is something many people never do. They accept a job that drains them, habits destroying their future, lack of discipline, toxic relationships, a weaker version of themselves. At first they think, maybe everyone lives this way. But as years pass, what was once temporary becomes their entire life. That's how people become trapped. Not through one major moment, but through low standards repeated long enough. I once met a man who constantly complained about his life. He hated his job, hated his finances, hated waking up every day without motivation. But what was interesting is, when I looked at his daily life, I did not see someone truly trying to change. I saw procrastination, lack of focus, lack of discipline, habits pulling him farther away from the future he wanted, and then I realized. What kept him trapped was not circumstance. It was the standard he accepted for himself. You see, human beings always adapt to whatever type of life they repeat long enough. If you live without purpose long enough, you begin believing it is normal. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, you begin believing life is naturally that way. If you repeatedly break promises to yourself, you slowly lose faith that you can change. That is the most dangerous thing, not failure. But when a person begins accepting a weaker version of themselves as their true identity, I believe many people out there are living far below their true potential. Not because they lack ability, but because they became accustomed to procrastination, surviving day to day, accepting mediocrity, constantly telling themselves, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And over time, that becomes their identity. You must understand this. Every repeated choice sends a signal to your mind. When you keep choosing what's easy, you are saying, I accept this life. When you continue breaking promises to yourself, you are saying, this is the limit of my standards. That's why changing your life does not begin with earning more money. It begins with raising your personal standards. One day, you must decide, I will no longer accept living this way. No longer accept procrastination, weakness, habits destroying the future, wasting time on meaningless things. That is the moment life begins changing. Not when you gain more motivation, But when you begin having higher standards, I've seen people completely transform their lives because of one very simple decision. They stopped accepting the mediocre version of themselves. They became more serious about time, more serious about health, more serious about the promises they made. And little by little, their lives changed. Not quickly, but very genuinely. That is what most people lack the patience to endure. They want a better life while continuing to keep the same standards. That is like wanting to arrive somewhere completely new while walking the same road every single day. You cannot create a different future while maintaining the same lifestyle. Ask yourself honestly, what are you accepting in your life that deep down you know you deserve better than? Have you become so used to procrastination that you think it's part of your personality? Have you become so used to mediocrity that you no longer believe you can live better? Because sometimes, what changes a person's life is not a massive opportunity, but the moment they decide, I will no longer live below my true potential. And I believe that is the most important thing you should remember after today's video. Most people never become successful, not because they lack potential. They fail because every day they continue accepting a smaller version of themselves until it becomes their entire life. I want you to remember one thing after everything we discussed today. Most people never fail in a single day. Nobody wakes up one morning and suddenly loses their future. It happens much more slowly than that. Through small moments of procrastination, through days lived without discipline, through constantly choosing comfort instead of what is right. And then, year after year, they become accustomed to a life beneath their true potential. That is the saddest thing, not when someone fails, but when they slowly accept mediocrity as if it were their destiny. I believe every person carries two versions inside themselves. One version wants growth, wants strength, wants to live according to its true potential. And another version constantly seeks comfort, wants to procrastinate, wants to avoid difficulty. Your life will ultimately be determined by this, which version you feed more every day. You do not need to change everything overnight. That is also the mistake many people make. They try to transform their entire lives during a few inspired days, then quickly burn out and quit. No, a strong life is built in a much simpler way. Just become a little better every day, a little more disciplined, a little more aware. Read a few more pages. Spend one more focused hour on your goals. Waste less time on the things weakening your mind. Those things sound small, but life is always built from small things repeated long enough. Remember this, a giant tree does not grow in one day, but every day it quietly grows. Human beings are the same. Maybe today you still don't see results. Maybe you still feel lost, still doubt yourself. But if you continue staying disciplined, continue walking forward, continue refusing to return to your old self, your life will change, not because of luck, but because of the choices you repeat every day. And I think the most dangerous thing in the world is not failure. It is reaching the end of your life and realizing you could have become so much more. Don't let that happen to you. Don't let the best years of your life be stolen by procrastination, distraction, easy living, and promises never fulfilled, because time will continue moving forward whether you act or not. The only question is, when you look back a few years from now, will you feel proud because you changed, or full of regret because you kept postponing? If today's video resonated with you, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next lessons on this self-growth journey with me. And I truly want to ask you, after everything we talked about today, what is the biggest reason keeping you stuck in your current life? Share it in the comments below. I read every one of them. And remember, you have the right to choose how you live every day, and those choices will quietly shape your entire life. I'll see you again in the next video.